again, of course. Like I said, I'm by myself. So when I have no sound in this house, I get scared. It's just a creepy feeling. So the TV stays on. Like I said, it's an antenna. So basically, kind of only channel 10 comes in sometimes. Channel 6. Wait a minute. What's this about? Can you see me? Somehow I had more than one window of the software open. But I've said a lot of things about what's going on in the world. Obviously, that was the point of me making this channel, was to do my commentary on whatever, whatever interests me in the moment. If there's a trailer, I'll react to a trailer. I would love to do better reactions, but I'm a haphazard person. Even when I was younger, and I used to try to do things in a normal, and I never got everything right. I always was a mess. Even when I used to try to go on job interviews or go out, something was wrong. I didn't do my hair right or something. You know what I mean? So there's no point in me trying to get things right and be perfect. I could do better, but in my situation, it's very difficult. So if I had a better setup, if I had a better situation in my life, then maybe what's my hair look like? Because I realized I wasn't paying attention. Oh, that looks wonderful. Yeah, so I'm watching the news, and the feeling that I feel I can't describe. And for this whole last week, I've been very strange. There was a new moon. It was in Pisces. I'm not a Pisces. It's funny. Whenever I do one of these, I watch one of these pick a card readings or whatever. There's one girl I watch, and she's always saying, whatever group I pick, she's always saying, I think this is my water group. And I always get, you might be a Pisces. I have Sun in 12th house. Sun in 12th house kind of acts like Pisces, but I'm not a Pisces at all. But the new moon was in Pisces. And I was walking home last night, and it was amazing because it was cold. It was that kind of frosty cold. I want to say frosty, but the sky was so clear. It was that fingernail moon, and but you could see the whole moon. It was that crystal clear that just looking up at the sky, you could see the whole thing, and that never happens. So, you know what I mean? How it's like the whole black part and then the little skinny. So, I think that I shifted again. I shifted, and now I'm just sort of lost and a little bit scatterbrained, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I've been saying I don't know what the hell's going on. I think being isolated, going through lockdowns and everything else, and all the planetary stuff that's happened to everything, I think I have changed so much. And I keep changing a little bit more, a little bit more. I definitely feel like I'm so much more confused, or I want to say, not unstuck in time, but like unstuck from reality a little bit. Let me see what these people are saying. Okay, so the Today Show is doing the Ukraine thing, and they're just talking about Ukraine and how everybody's rallying around Ukraine, and they were just talking about some woman who's making candles. And I couldn't feel further removed from how everyone else in my country, at least, or seems to be responding to this. And like I said, putting Ukrainian flag or a heart in the colors of Ukrainian flag on your Twitter, or somewhere on your social media, to me at this point, I'm not criticizing those people, but thinking it's a thing, thinking it's something to do, even if you just want to show support for the Ukrainian people, which I don't even know what that means anymore. And I'm not trying to be holier than thou, and I'm not trying to, judge anybody. I just don't get it. I just don't. To me, it's like, it reminds me of elementary school. And when you're a little elementary school kid, And, you know, because you were a good student, or because you were in a certain class, or your teachers wanted you to be aware of the world, you found out there was something sad going on. Like maybe there's, you know, famine in Africa, or there's some other thing. So they get you to make a macaroni picture about it. Or, you know what I mean? You do some kind of, you get construction paper and stuff, or your teachers get everybody to make cards and you send them to the country. You know what I mean? Which was actually a lot better than putting a little flag on your social media. But you know what I mean? To say, you know, to write the kids there or whatever. That's more grassroots and, like I said, more honest. But it reminds me of, my neighbors are doing something. I don't know if they're moving or what. It's making a lot of noise. It seems childlike, which is fine for children. And there's nothing wrong with supporting people. But the degree to which their media, and I understand the woman selling the candles, and the candles are the money's going to raise money to send to them for help. But I just feel like my whole feelings around this come from what I think this really is. Something's going on in there. I think the water started dripping. So I can't be what everybody else is being right now, and I don't want to, and I understand, and I'm not trying to say that I have a bigger brain than anybody else. I've been, like I said, I've been paying attention for so long. I feel like I know what this is. I know what it's about. And as sad as it is, to me, in the end, it has what the real picture is that it has so little to do with the Ukraine. They're the ones facing the brunt of this. I've said this. They're the ones going through all this. They're the ones being annihilated. But I can't go back to like a 5th grade mentality of, okay, let's just put a little pretty picture and make nice while these people are being bombed. Like, I'm sitting here watching the news and I'm watching all this stuff, and they're really, even Kristen Welker, she was almost talking like baby talk to say something. I forgot what it was, but it was like she was really trying to act like, oh my God, and, you know, wow, about something that doesn't amount to hill of beans in the end. And they're really playing up the, yay, we all love Ukraine. The whole world loves Ukraine. Ukraine. Let's all spend all of our time making sure we all know that we support Ukraine, and all the good people support Ukraine and support Ukraine and support Ukraine. Okay, this is their whole Saturday morning. But at the same time, somewhere in there, they're playing the tape, like a 1 second amount of the tape of Zelensky saying, hey, assholes, you're not helping us. But they've got it blanketed in the rest of the coverage of, oh, look at how much we're helping. Oh, look at how much we love these people. Oh, look at how much we care about the Ukrainians. And there are celebrities who are doing, like Bethany Frankel. Okay, I don't really like celebrities getting involved in politics and stuff like that, because 9 times out of 10 they're just doing the same thing. They're just making a tweet and feeling really proud of themselves. When people really get involved and they really help, that's great. And I don't even know who she is. I know she's from one of those shows like Real Housewives or something. I don't watch any of that stuff. I think she was on Dance with the Stars or something, and that's why I know who she is. But I'm not sure. But not just with this, with some other crises, I don't know what her foundation is. I don't know what she, like, makes these massive care packages and sends tons of them. And, you know, there are celebrities who do things like that. I remember one time, I forgot if it was during the Haitian thing or Katrina or whatever, you know, or Puerto Rico, one of the crises, people needed supplies, and, you know, the supplies couldn't get there. So John Travolta just said, I'll take it. And they packed up his jet, because, you know, He flies actual planes, and he took the shit. He flew it himself. You know what I mean? And I think J-Lo, when the Puerto Rican stuff was going on, she really did like hands-on stuff without coming on TV and just begging people for money and then going back to filing her nails like other celebrities do. You know what I mean? So when celebrities really get involved in stuff like that, that's great. And you know what I mean? It helps. And these people now need refugee type help, which I'm going back to, this shouldn't have happened to them. They shouldn't have been used as pawns in the game. They're being removed from Ukraine one way or another. Either they're being killed or they're being, you know what? I gotta go see what this noise is. I'm gonna be right back. Excuse me. Okay, so I ended up getting snacks because who cares anymore? More snacks. I mean, I was having toast for breakfast, but I said, oh, no, let me just get a bag of chips. I can't help, I don't know why. I can't help thinking about the Russian people. I can't help thinking about what this really means. What this is going to end up being someday. What it's clear, like they also show like Jen Psaki and people like that acting like this isn't our attempt to get people to overthrow Putin or get somebody to go in and kill him like a Russian person to stop the bleeding, because that's what they're doing. They're isolating Russia. They're trying to isolate Vladimir Putin. That's what this is all about, and this is about a bigger play for world domination by the powers that be in our country, who are already being dominated by China, as I've said before. So there's so much. It's not even misinformation. It's a complete. They're not flat out lies, because people can sense. You know. People know when they're being lied to. This is window dressing. This is when I get upset that my brain doesn't work like it used to, because I know there's a word I'm looking for. I don't want to say subterfuge. It's they're saying one thing and doing something else. You know, and almost everything coming through the TV is misrepresentation of what's actually happening in terms of our side, what we're doing, they're just going to focus on the Americans who really, like I said, innocently are trying to show support for the Ukrainians in any way they can. Even, like I said, if to me it seems like baby stuff, I think the vast majority of people who are doing that, they don't need to know. I mean, their lives go on. They don't know the overall, they don't know the whole backstory. Put it that way. And I don't know the whole backstory. But I know enough backstory to understand that, I want to say, this was a hit. This is like putting out a hit on somebody in the most roundabout way. Oh, you know what? I don't know why. So many things, whatever I'm talking about comes back to John Wick. I like the third movie a lot, but I'm not a huge fan of those movies. But I just thought of how in the movie John Wick becomes excommunicado and they put his name on the board and then everybody can kill him, right? That's to me what our country and the West is trying to do to Vladimir Putin. Putin. They're saying he's excommunicado. Just anybody take him out. You know what I mean? There's a price on his head. No, they're not saying it like that, though. They're not coming out and saying it and being upfront about it. It's just, this is the point, you know. So that's you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to remove a leader of a country. You're not supposed to do those things. But to me, that's what all this has been about. And like I said, this war with Russia has been coming, and it's not a normal war, and it's not even a proxy war exactly. It's a narrative war. It's a social media war. It's a popular opinion war. It's a war of see what I'm saying? The words aren't here right now. It's a thought war. It's a war of, we're going to convince everybody that the whole problem is Russia. We're going to convince everybody that the whole problem is Vladimir Putin. And if we can erase them, if we can erase all record of them, if we can erase all the vodka, and, well, if Anastasia, now they're saying Anastasia was taken away from Disney Plus because of some licensing agreement. It just so happened right in the middle of all this shit. You kidding me? And it gets reported on right in the middle of all this shit, and oh, that's just a coincidence. Okay, fine, whatever. But they're all happy about how there's no Russians and no Belarusian athletes in the Paralympics. Like, yay! And it's like, there's no part of you that feels anything for those athletes who did nothing. There's no part of you that feels anything for the Russians whose lives are going to be destroyed right now because they didn't do anything either. You know, because when you want to break the economy, I mean, they want to wipe Russia off the map one way or another. They don't care what's going to happen to the Russian people because they're making it that it's their fault what Vladimir Putin is doing, and they should just kill him if they don't want it to be like this anymore. And this is wrong. This is what we're not supposed to do. There are rules against this, but we're doing it in a backwards public relations. Thank you. We're doing it in a public relations kind of a way. You know, we're doing it by influencing people and getting them to believe things instead of with bombs, instead of with an assassination, instead of the way we used to do it in the old days, which they made rules against. So they're trying to get everything to happen the way they want it to happen. And I don't know if it's working, but the fact that I know what it is and I'm against it, it really makes me question. I've been questioning why I'm so different from normal people, why I don't see what other people see, why I don't do what other people do. I've been wondering why I was weird for a long time. But this is like, I want to go back to my days in 6th grade, and I was like, I agreed with everybody then. I agreed with everybody 20 years ago. I agreed with everybody not that long ago. But the left and the narrative that went with the left, and I think it came by way of the Democratic National Committee when Hillary Clinton was running for president. I believe at the time Wendy Wasserman Schultz was running the thing. I see her, when I think of people who I think started the divide in this country, I see her leadership of the Democratic National Committee and that campaign to get Hillary Clinton elected president as what really broke us in terms of vilifying anybody who wasn't in Hillary's camp, whether it was Trump voters who became deplorables, or it was Bernie bros who were ostracized by people like Sarah Silverman, for Christ's sake. I mean, that whole thing, I believe, is what broke our country down. But now you've got the people, the stalwarts in that camp, who, whether it makes sense or not, continue to digest that narrative, whether they believe it or not. It's like they feel like they got to keep going. Sometimes people start lying, and once they start lying, they can't stop because they're like, they got to keep telling more lies to cover up the lies. So that initial lie becomes 10 lies, and then those 10 lies become 100 lies, and then it becomes 1,000 lies, you know, and they have to keep doubling down, you know. And I'm not saying these people even know that they're lying. I'm saying that they're so ingrained in believing that their side is the good guys that now they have to convince themselves. These are people who may have to take a shot of some alcohol to keep going along with this, or maybe smoke some pot, or do something that allows them to keep on this trajectory and stay on this and continue to support a narrative. Because whether they believe themselves to be supporting Ukraine, at least half of it is supporting a narrative. And I want to kind of see what Zelensky actually said. So if I do that, I'm going to end up, this is going to get very sticky, and I might stop. Okay. War in Ukraine. Zelensky slams NATO over rejection of no-fly zone. Okay, I want to get exactly what he said. I hope it's written and it's not a video, because everything's a stinking video now. I like to read still. Speaking from Kiev, this is from BBC News. Speaking from Kiev, Zelensky said the West's reluctance to intervene has given Russia a green light to continue bombarding towns and villages. NATO has argued that a no-fly zone will result in confrontation with Moscow, but Mr. Zelensky said he disagrees that direct action could provoke Russia's direct aggression against NATO. In angry comments, this is what I'm saying. Everybody's like, yay, we love Ukraine, la la la, aren't we beautiful? Look at us, virtue signaling, yay, we're great people. In the middle of all that, Zelensky is like, hey, and he is angry. He said the argument reflects the self-hypnosis of those who are weak, underconfident inside, and that Western reservations indicated that not everyone considers the struggle for freedom to be Europe's #1 goal. All the people who will die starting from this day will also die because of you, because of your weakness, because of your disunity, a furious Mr. Zelensky added. Okay. On Friday, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warned that the introduction of a no-fly zone could lead to a full-fledged war in Europe, involving many more countries and causing much more human suffering. Well, Jens, I'm going to stop reading there. You can read the rest of the article on BBC News, BBC.com, excuse me. That is what I thought this was always about. I thought this was about getting us to a huge war. So you can't say, okay, go ahead, Ukraine, you fight Russia, and we'll support you in thought and words, and we'll make sure our whole countries think that we're supporting you. But in reality, we're not going to do anything to stop you from getting bombed to hell. We're going to let you believe you have our support, but our support's going to be thoughts and prayers. Our support's not going to be anything that's going to stop you from being blown off the face of the earth. But we're only telling you that now. We're not telling you that in the beginning. So we allowed you to get into this conflict with Russia. And that's why, for me, and I've said it before, and it makes no sense to people, I get it. For me, if I, at this point, and I was looking at the world stage, and I was looking at my country, and I know that people would not agree, and this would be a problem. The way to save the lives of so many Ukrainians, the way to have allowed them to stay where they are, in their homes, and not get bombed into being refugees into Poland and everywhere else, and scattered throughout the world, would have been to say, you know what? Let's just surrender to Vladimir Putin. That's what I would do. And I am not somebody who doesn't fight. I am not somebody who doesn't fight against what's wrong. But to me, what's wrong is the question here. What is wrong? Is it having a flag, or is it having your people killed for nothing? Like Maxim Cheryakovsky just came back, and I'm going to say things that people are not going to like. Are you ready? And I'm not speaking for Max. Like I said, I watched Dance with the Stars from the first season, so I remember Max with the ponytail. You know what I mean? My mom didn't like him. She thought he was conceited. She didn't like conceited people. Whatever. I feel like, as far as celebrities go, I know Max as good as any of the TV celebrities. So, Max finally came home. And I'm like, people are going to give him shit. Watch. And they're half giving him shit for coming home, like he should have stayed there and fought. Max left a long time ago. He became a professional dancer. So did his brother. And they carved out a nice life for himself. He and Peter eventually got married and had kids. So he's a dad. And his real life isn't there anymore. His real life was here. And he was there doing a show. And that's to make money and be famous and all that stuff. And I get that. But he wasn't exactly where he belonged when this broke out. And he belongs with his wife and his children. And if he stayed there and fought, that would have just been stupid. And the idea of all the young men, all the young Ukrainian men staying there and fighting, do you understand what that does? Do you understand what that does? I mean, apart from the little boys who are leaving with their parents into other countries, you're killing off the seed. You're killing off all the Ukrainian males of childbearing age. They're just going to die there. It's suicide. Staying there at this point is suicide. You could surrender to Vladimir Putin and everybody lives to see another day. And they'll become part of Russia or whatever. Or they can all be wiped off the face of the earth. And all those young men who would have created more Ukrainian people are gone. And nobody lives there. And it'll be part of Russia anyway. It'll be bumped out to hell, which it's already being. So you're fighting an unwinnable war. You don't have the support you thought you were going to have. And so for me, someone like Max is smart. Anybody who leaves now is smart. If you want to call them a deserter or whatever, deserting what? They're not going to beat Russia. And the rest of the world is not coming to help. They're not giving you the no-fly zone you wanted. And if you thought you were going to get that help, you were duped. You were duped into this. So if being duped to your demise is the hill you want to die on, to have been a sucker for the promises of the West, who in the end just have thoughts and prayers for you, and little heart emojis or little heart pictures that are in the colors of blue and yellow. If those blue and yellow hearts were enough for you to die for, and generations of Ukrainians to die for, so that there'll be, like I said, there'll be no babies. There'll be no babies. If all the men die. If all the men of fighting age, which is the same age as childbearing, well, you know, men can always make babies, but you get my drift. Those young men will not get married, and they will not have children, and they will not raise a family if they're over there dying for a lost cause. You believed in the West for what? For what? What did they promise you? I think it's time. I think Zelensky wants to be a hero. He needs to spill whatever beans he has, because NATO's not giving him that no-fly zone. Before they wipe him off the face of the earth, he needs to spill whatever beans he has and say, you know what? If they were promised anything, if they were led to believe they would have military support, if they were led to believe that the cavalry would come in, and the Calgary, I said the cavalry. Jesus can always come and save them, but I meant the Calgary. I got those two words mixed up. If they thought the Calgary was going to come in and other people were going to ride with them in a force type situation, not just thoughts and prayers and, oh, here, have some weapons. If they thought they were going to get military support from other nations and who were going to fight side by side with them, if they were led to believe that, if they were led to believe that there'd be more than sanctions. It's time for him to spill his guts, because I believe they were led to believe something. Because why would you why would you sacrifice your whole nation in a proxy war? Why would you allow yourself to be used in that way? You know what I mean? If you're an actor, you do. That's why I question an actor being president and people saying, oh, look, he's such a hero. And it frightens me the way people go hook, line, and sinker for that. Smart people like Jon Stewart, a lot of these people talking about, oh, well, you know, comics aren't very proud, and oh, he's such a hero, he's such a boss. And I'm like, are we all that lost? Because I think Jon Stewart's one of the smartest guys. And right now, he really seems like he's got one foot into being the smart guy he always was, and then this other foot into being in that narrative. And like I said, that generation of people, I think he's Gen X. I think he's on the older end of Gen X. Gen X sent their children to school. Their children got propaganda fed to them. They got brainwashed by propaganda that we didn't have as kids, because we were taught to think critically. These kids were taught with like Common Core, and there's only one way, and you can't think for yourself. So their kids got brainwashed, brought it home, and brainwashed their parents. That's what I feel like happens. All these good people who were successful and they had, you know, enough money to send their kids to the fancy smashy schools, and then the kids come home attacking them. They remember when they used to fight with their parents, and now they want to not be like that, or they don't want to not be like what their parents were like, so they want to listen to their children, and they want to think their children are right, when it's like, you know, you're the adult. You're the adult in the room. You've lived for 5 decades maybe. You know, you've been on this earth. You've seen a lot of stuff. Take that wisdom and use it. Don't just go along with the narrative, because that's what your kids are coming home with, and you don't want to seem like your parents seem to you. You know, old curmudgeons who didn't know what they were talking about. Maybe they did know what they were talking about. Maybe you should have listened to your parents back then, and maybe your children should listen to you. But if you're sitting there listening to everything your kids say, and you're being influenced by kids who haven't lived in the world yet. Yeah, they're being taught things that you weren't taught, and they're being taught narratives, and they're being taught agendas, or they're being taught critical race theory. They're being taught a bunch of stuff that didn't exist while we were kids. And you can take it in, but then you still know how to do some critical thinking, and you can think for yourself, and you can say, wait a minute, is this true? And I think that a lot of the people who've been being influenced by their children for the last decade, and that's what's made a lot of things go sideways, is because the grown-ups have been too influenced by the children. Those people who've allowed themselves to be influenced by their children and whatever narrative is being taught to the children in the school systems, they need to ground themselves. They need to go, whatever. You're a water sign, go to the beach. You're an earth sign, go plant something, go hug a tree. You're a fire sign, light a candle. You're an air sign, go outside and do some deep breathing. Get in touch with yourself. Think about your whole life. Think about what you know for sure. Think about what your life has taught you. And then say to yourself, okay, what do I really think about this? What makes sense to me? Let me think about all the stuff that's going in my head. What's really going on here? And then once you come to that on your own, don't listen to me, don't listen to anybody else. Take all the things you've heard, sift through it, and figure out what's really real. And then when you figure out what's really real and you're grounded in that, then come from there with your opinions, and come from there with your ideas about what should happen. Come from there whether you should support this or that, whether you want to hate all Russian things and you're going to go along with, I'm never watching Anastasia again, whatever. If you go through all this and you think about everything and you really think that that cartoon is Russia propaganda or some shit, then you do that. But think it through first. Think through where we are now. Think about where this could possibly lead. Is that what we wanted as a world? I don't think anybody wants it except for the people who want it. Why do they want it? Because they're the 1%. Because they're the 1% of the 1%. Because they're the elite. Because I believe in some way those people have already given up on the world. They have some plan that we don't know about. They're going to go live on a space station. They're going to go live in some underground bunker in the Amazon. They're going to go and have a whole new society without us, where it's just like, I don't know, 10,000 people, And they're going to let the rest of us do Lord of the Flies when everything is ruined. And they don't care anymore. So I just want people to think about what they're doing. Support anybody you want to support. If you want to make sure that you're taking the side of the Ukrainian people over the Russian people, I don't get that. And all I can do is think about the Russian people that are, you know, just not even being talked about. What's happening to them is not going to be talked about. They're just going to wait for them to be like, okay, well, go kill Vladimir Putin. Because if you don't, it's your own damn fault and you deserve to suffer. Because I think that's pretty much where the mentality is going right now. That's why I'm saying I can't be more farther removed from being in step with everyone else right now. My mind is totally coming from a different place, coming from a place where I've been seeing this lead up to war with Russia coming for over a decade. This was wanted by the people who run our government, not a blue or red side. The whole thing, whoever runs the government, whoever runs those who run the government. This was wanted. And I don't even think it's just about military money anymore. It's about ideology. It's about a future that none of us planned. None of the regular people anyway. They took away our vote already because we don't matter to them anymore. They don't actually care what we think anymore. You know, you see people talking about, oh, well, they're getting rid of the masks and stuff because they're worried about the next election. Are they worried about the next election? They don't have to worry anymore. They've gotten that sewn up. They don't care. That's now a pantomime. Us going down to our voting stations or us voting from home in a mail-in ballot. It's not even a technicality, you know. We might as well just take those ballots and just light them on fire. They don't matter anymore. I don't believe for 1 second that our vote will ever count again unless it all breaks down and we have that World War III, and then the next war is fought with sticks and stones, as they attribute that quote to Einstein. And then we'll vote by way of raised hands or grunts. Maybe then it'll be a fair vote again, but I don't believe anything that used to works anymore because they've controlled it. They've controlled everything. They're controlling the narrative. And sadly, I believe they're controlling the minds of a lot of people because not through mind control drugs in a vaccine or anything like that, just because people are used to giving themselves over to what they're being told. And if professor says or teacher says or president says or reporter says, it's true because they believe they're good people and they're not going to lie to them. So they just repeat what they're told and they put it all on that. They go all in because they believe that their information is a good information and there's no such thing as fake news. And but in the end, if you're just putting a blue and yellow heart and you're just going along with things, you're the same people who went along with the crucifixion. You're the same people who just went along with every stupid thing. You are the good German. You know, you're the mob. You're the mass hysteria. You're the groupthink. I want everybody to think for themselves. I want there to be individuals again. When you get a mob mentality, it's so easy to control a mob. They act like it isn't. It is. That's why when people, oh, protest, yeah, protest, go ahead. I don't want to get anybody to not do what they think is right, but as long as you're thinking it's right, as long as you're thinking about it, as long as you're thinking about the outcome, like when we had protests and a bunch of shit was burned down, what did that do? It burned a bunch of shit down. Did it fix anything? You know, so what is the end game? What is going to be the result of the actions you take? Whether it's putting a heart, whether it's protesting, whether it's teaching people how to make Molotov cocktails, whether it's telling people to, oh no, we're shaming people into staying and fighting and losing war so that they and every other young man of a certain age who have yet to have a family will be annihilated, will be removed from that, will not go on to, like I said, to make more Ukrainian babies. Think it through. Think it through to the end. Don't be the crowd who says crucify Jesus. Don't be the crowd who just goes along to get along. Please, I know that makes people win in this world. I know there are a lot of people, all the people in decision-making positions now who are making the world a shitty place, they just went along. So they can't think for themselves. And they get directives. And the directives maybe come from evil, evil people. And that's why the world is so shitty. I'm just saying, think for yourself, and then when you've decided what's right, then do that. Just don't follow the herd. The herd is a problem. It's legion. Don't be legion. Please just think, and if you really want to support people, think about what that really means. Don't be used as a pawn in the game as well. Even if you're just a person on social media that is supporting nonsense that is getting other people killed, don't support that nonsense. Unless you don't care and you just want the likes or the retweets or whatever.